Welcome to Surviving Show Business, the podcast that takes you inside entertainment to help you survive and thrive with your host, Aaron Seals. Surviving Show Business is sponsored by nycastings.com, the place where stars are born. Actors, models, dancers, and singers can join and get casting notices sent to your phone every day. Welcome back to Surviving Show Business. Today's guest is Emmy-nominated actress Naomi Grossman. She's best known as Pepper on American Horror Story, but now she's in a new web series called Ctrl-Alt-Delete, and this is how she has gotten this new nomination. So I'm very curious to know how she did all of these great things. Welcome, Naomi.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So tell me, what's this Ctrl-Alt-Delete web series all about? How did it come about?
Well, it's an abortion comedy.
Wow.
Because abortions are just so funny.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's this is not necessarily my axe to grind. It's not really my what's the word?
You're not the creator of it.
I am not the creator. I'm just an actress.
You're starring in it.
Got a part. Yep.
Got
I am. Yeah. But, at the same time, I do feel like it was a really great opportunity for me to bring light to an otherwise very serious topic. Obviously, while I am pro-life, pro-choice, it's so confusing. Who doesn't want life? But at the same time, as a woman,
It's a difficult subject.
I do believe that's, my body, my right. So, that said, like I said, I am not particularly political, though, of course, the creators are, and that's the whole point for them. But at the same time, I do think it's really great as artists that we use our art to bring awareness to certain causes. People make people laugh, make people cry, take them on a journey. I'm a sucker for a character, honestly, and Lorna is one. She's a abortionado that is sort of a serial visitor at the abortion clinic. Basically uses it as her birth control.
Great.
So anyway, I read the part. I thought it's a really clever, kind of really dark, funny, but sometimes poignant piece. Honestly, I read it and I thought, wow, should this ever go to, series on a network, I would be a series regular. And that's what I want. So,
well, something must have went really right, because how did you get an Emmy nomination for this character?
Well, yeah, no kidding. Apparently there's there's an Emmy category for short form.
Right. And to be particular, it's Outstanding Actress in a Short Form Comedy or Drama.
Correct. So, yeah. Hey, they're going to give it to somebody, so might as well be me, right?
But I guess the producers submitted it.
Indeed.
And then somebody just saw it and said, wow, that's a great character. Let's put her
Well,
as
hopefully it was
a
more
nominee.
than somebody. I don't think there were Russian bots involved or anything. But yeah, it's hey. Emmy nominated Emma Naomi. It all has a nice ring.
Yeah. It's a big plus to
I was fine
your
with
career.
I was good with just Naomi Grossman, but Emmy nominee Naomi Grossman has a particularly nice ring, which I'm going to stick with.
Yeah. And so,
unless, of course, they want to make me an Emmy winner, which, that would be fine, too.
when do the awards happen for this? I forget.
This is September 8th and 9th. It's the Creative Arts Emmys. So it won't actually be televised, although during the televised show, they will show the winners of the Creative Arts Emmys during the commercial breaks. So,
Got it.
Still a real Emmy.
Let's backtrack. How did you get started in acting?
Oh boy. How much time do you have?
A lot.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, growing up in Denver, Colorado, my parents were really good about exposing me to culture. They took me to, the ballet and opera and theater and whatnot. And I just always sort of knew that I wanted to be up there. So I got involved with children's theater at a very young age, maybe 10, 11.
Wow.
And was performing every Saturday at the Comedy Works in downtown Denver. This little children's theater troupe also had a film and television agency involved and affiliated with them. So I would go out for regional commercials and Father Dowling Mysteries and Perry Mason and
wow.
everything, coming through Denver in the 80s. I was just kind of that girl, the kind of drama geek. Then I was an exchange student in in high school, which was interesting only because it was the first year in my whole existence that I did something other than acting. And yet, honestly, it was the best thing I've ever done for my acting.
Where did you go as an exchange student?
I went to Argentina. Yeah. So, it's just actors forget, we need a life too. Nothing is more repellent to, industry people than an actor that just acts, that has nothing else to say. So that was good for me to, experience the world otherwise.
Well, what did you see in Argentina? What did I
see? I ate beef, and I experienced soccer and soccer players, more importantly. And I just sort of had a full life. I will say, I think Argentines really know how to live. So that was a good lesson for me.
Okay. So you started out as a kid. You went to college next.
Yeah, applied to Northwestern University from Argentina, just hoping that, the facts went through. I guess it did because I got there. Did my 4 years in Chicago as a theater major there. Then immediately upon graduation left. Not that I didn't just love it there, but I just didn't love the winter. So I went straight to Southern California and got started here. That said, I didn't work forever. I was really just couldn't even get arrested. I was I was becoming mostly famous as the worst waitress in restaurant history.
Okay.
I was like the Red Bull girl until I drove it into a shopping mall, and that was the end of that. I was, I don't know if you have there, we have these Red Bull trucks with giant cans on the top. And
yes.
Anyway, the point is they don't enter parking garages real well.
Oh my God.
Or at all. But I was a nude model in art classes, and I taught Spanish at the Playboy Mansion, and I just did anything and everything under the sun. I was being paid to do everything except act, and it was really disillusioning. So I basically realized, I want to act, and yet I'm not acting, so I'll just have to cast myself. And that's pretty much what I did. At the time, I'd been taking classes at the Groundlings and managed to become a member of the Sunday Company.
And for people that don't know, the Groundlings is a famous comedy improv school where a lot of famous people have come from. Is that correct?
Indeed. That is correct. Yeah.
Who are some of their
Phil
famous
Hartman,
alumni?
Lisa Kudrow, Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell, Pee Wee Herman, Elvira. I mean, like, just everybody.
Flo from the Progressive ads.
Flo, yeah.
I read that
Stephanie
she went there.
Courtney, friend of mine. Actually, I want to say that I auditioned for that, actually.
Yeah?
Yep, that was yet another gig that I didn't get. But anyway, yeah, so they do a lot of sketch and real large character-based sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to, I had these just closets full of sketches, and I started to, produce them on YouTube. And, after a while, I had quite a prolific little channel there. I also managed to write and produce 2 solo shows, hour-long pieces, one of which actually was dedicated to said year in Argentina. And the other was, that was called Girl in Argentine Landscape. The second was called Carnival Knowledge, Love, Lust, and Other Human Oddities. And that was more of a come-of-age story. It was a, comic carnal romp about basically my misadventures as a single girl in LA. Kind of Sex in the City, different coast, cheaper shoes.
Cool. And by the way, people can actually read more about these and see these clips on your website, naomigrossman.net.
Yes, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean,
because that's
these
what
shows,
I was just doing. Girl in Argentine
Landscape started in LA, and then I did end up taking it to New York, because I know you're in New York. Probably a lot of your readers are as well. I took it to the New York International Fringe Festival there, as well as the Single File Festival in Chicago and a women's theater festival in LA. Carnival Knowledge had an even longer run. It ended up going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and was transferred to the West End in New York, the Leicester Square Theater, where actually Joan Rivers did her solo show as well, for those who've watched that, her documentary.
I saw it. A piece of work.
Yeah, and actually it also was at the New York Fringe, and I've managed to take it around to colleges. So,
oh, cool.
Are
you just still doing it then?
Yeah, honestly, I've got all the, well, I should be careful what I say. I have all the dildos under my bed, but I do, like, it's, there's some dildos in the show, spoiler alert, and, yeah, I mean, I've got the props ready, and, I find it takes pretty much like a week to get back on its feet. It's sort of, it's in me. I mean, it's my life, it's my story, so, it's not that hard to get back in shape if need be.
Okay, let's go back a little ways for these struggling times. And then this show comes along, American Horror Story. How many years were you in LA before that gig came along?
Oof, in LA.
If you can remember.
No, yeah. I mean, this is some advanced math, but well, I'll tell you this. I got my SAG card on my 15th birthday. I didn't get Horror Story, nor actually make SAG insurance that is able to, go to the doctor until I was 37. So 22 years. Now, that's not since I was in LA. I came to LA when I was 21. So to answer your question, 16. It's still a long time. What do they say about overnight success takes?
Would you consider that your big break?
Oh yeah, no question.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of my proudest moments have been totally self-generated well before that, like the like climbing uphill both ways with a backpack full of dildos in the pouring rain in Edinburgh. I mean, that was some of the happiest times. I mean, I do believe that place in particular, it sort of separates the men from the boys. And if you don't love it, like, you ain't gonna hang.
So you like doing live stuff?
I mean, I do. As an actor, I think it is. It's probably the most fulfilling. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I moved straight to Hollywood, not for the sunshine, but I honestly, I've always wanted to be on TV. I love the idea of being a part of people's lives. I want the sort of, I like the scope of television where, it bums me out when, all people want to know is about Horror Story or that they think that that's all I do or have done. Right. And they don't realize, there's, 50 people in the audience who have, some nights who've seen, what else I can do. It's kind of a drag, but what you going to do? That's just the nature of it.
Yeah. Looking at your body of work, you've done a lot of comedy stuff, which would
surprise
those people that are just used to American Horror Story.
Right. Exactly. I mean, for the longest time, I always felt that, I just sort of figured this is such a tough business, to take the advice of what's her name, Miss Mazeppa, the stripper in Gypsy. You gotta get a gimmick, and I always thought, well, comedy's gonna be my gimmick. Like, let's not make this business any more difficult than it is. Find your niche and go for it. And I think in a way that's good advice, but I also really believe in not kind of micromanaging the universe. I think maybe I was too myopic when I thought, I just do comedy. It's not that. It's that I do characters, and characters lend themselves to all kinds of genre. I mean, in fact, in a way, it's not really actually all that surprising that that horror would be my big break, because I mean, when you look at some of the really big horror icons out there, the Freddy Kruegers and Carrie. I mean, these are like extreme characters, which is technically what I do. So, I mean, I've always thought that they were, comedic, but, Pepper Unwin herself is comedic. I mean, Ryan Murphy himself said, he called me pure comic delight. And that was, of course, before he wrote the Orphans episode, which was anything but comic. But, the fact is, I think that's what part of what people love about the show is that there are shades of gray. Like, it's not just scary. It's not just dramatic. I like the music. That's not realistic. That's not life.
I like the in season 4 anyway. There's a lot of music, so I like the music and the singing that they throw in.
Oh, for sure, yes. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's some of it's hilarious, some of it's horrible, some of it's poignant, some of it's scary.
That show has all things. It's got everything. I was just rewatching season 4 this weekend to prep for this.
Oh,
now how did the audition come about?
Well, I had an audition just like any other. My agent at the time called and said, you got this, this appointment tomorrow. I got on the phone with a friend who watches more TV than I do. I didn't even have one at the time, and he filled me in on the show. Of course, that didn't actually help because being an anthology series, it changes every single season. And it didn't, none of what he said applied, but at least I had, an idea of like the tone of the show. The sides, of course, were a total,
Well, yeah, there's not a lot
I
of
want to say
talking for your
scarlet
character.
letter, but that's not the expression. Basically, they just threw me off in every way, which I think was the point. They had me do a monologue of Jessica Lange's from season 1, which of course wasn't. I mean, that was nothing other than just to see that I could act.
Right.
And then they gave me a ball, and they asked me to try to get them to play with them as if I were a 4-year-old child. So again, you can imagine what I was thinking. Like, what the heck is this? But now in retrospect, I mean, we know exactly what they were doing.
For people that don't know who Pepper is, let's say they haven't seen the show, can you explain Pepper for us?
Sure. She's microcephalic, which is a neurological disorder. It affects the brain. It results in an abnormally small brain. These people generally have a brain capacity of like a 4-year-old, and that's why they ask for a 4-year-old.
Okay.
The rest of the breakdown for the actors out there says 4 to 5 feet tall, possibly malformed, childlike. So again, knowing like I'm a character actress, I thought, okay, well, I know why they called me. I am 5 feet tall, so I know not to wear high heels to this audition. Childlike, okay. So again, no plunging necklines, no, booty shorts. Like, let's, keep it kind of neutral. But malformed, I thought, how do I do that? And again, like as an actor, you have to put in check, like, I got this audition. Like, they know. It's not like a mystery. It's not like I'm hiding from them that I'm actually malformed. Like, it is out there that I am not. So,
okay,
somehow I got the appointment anyway. Just own it. You go in and do your job and stop casting the darn thing. I think that's something that actors do a lot of, and it doesn't serve them. So, I basically walk into the waiting room, and it's me and like a sea of little people. And again, I'm like, what am I doing here? I need to have a conversation with my agent. Like, I mean, yes, I'm petite, but like, there's a difference. And then I went into the audition, and I think I even made a joke about like being the giant, like how the hell did I get this call? And then I just went in and rocked it. And of course I did, because I thought there was no way I'd possibly be cast in this role. And I remember even just sort of beating myself up afterwards, as we do. Of course, that's the audition you nail. Of course.
Yeah.
But, the next day I had a call, a meeting with makeup. They took a bunch of photos of me, which they later manipulated to see what I would look like with the makeup, which they, of course, did with a few other actresses. So that was essentially the callback. And then, next day I had the role.
Wow.
So that's how it went. It was pretty fast.
Now, did the
16 years later, it was pretty fast.
How quickly did the look of Pepper come together? Like, did they try different prosthetics?
They did. It took a little while.
Yeah.
Yes, there were. In fact, for a while, they were, trying to keep my hair. They hadn't asked initially whether I would shave my head. So they asked that after I, signed the papers. Mm-hmm. And so, I said yes, of course. Because, it's not like I'm some sort of Pantene model who's making her living from, her hair. Although I did have to verify that this was indeed a thing. Like, at first when they asked, I thought, wait, what? What is this exactly? Like, am I an extra in a YouTube video that some student film? Like, that was my fear. Fortunately, it was not. But
how did you?
I can't remember where I was going with that.
How did you start developing the character on your own?
Okay, yeah.
How did the team develop the character?
Right. Well, so a lot of it actually did come from the makeup. To answer that initial question, it was probably about a month of trial and error. Like I said, they tried it with a ball cap and then realized that it just made my head look too big, and it was easier. You throw a bunch of hair inside a ball cap, it looks even bigger. And the whole point, of course, was to make my head look smaller.
Right.
And of course, they would always rather do these effects with makeup than special effects. Not only is it cheaper ultimately, but it's also just cooler. The Emmy goes to the makeup artist, not some special effects. I don't even know if there is an Emmy for that necessarily. But in any case, all of these makeup tests, I probably sat through maybe eight different days of them trying stuff out, and all the while, of course, I'm thinking, well, if I look like this, then I'm going to act kind of like that. So I was watching a lot of Schlitzie, which was the real life microcephalic that the role was based on. Because it's kind of almost like for the actors out there, when you put on a wig, like when I have like my big dark brown mane on, I cannot help but sound like Sofia Vergara. Like that's just what I do. It's kind of like you just become this other person. And the makeup was kind of like that for me. Like it seemed incongruent to speak normally or intelligently. Using big words and multi-syllables.
I was watching a YouTube video of you going through the process the other day, and I was like, wow. The process was such a big transformation. I was thinking, just naturally you would start acting different since you looked like...
Exactly.
You went in looking one way and you came out looking the other.
Exactly. So that's why when they did come out and say, oh, by the way, you've just been abducted by aliens, you've been fixed, you speak normally now, I was like, what? Like, okay, like I'm going to have to think this out, because I'd gotten so kind of used to, Pepper is this away. In any case, so I would say the makeup really informed a lot of the acting. I tend to kind of go outside in, like, so, I was watching and emulating Schlitzie, but then I went ahead and also, I met with a coach, and the two of us created a whole backstory, which of course no one knows. And honestly, it was vastly inferior to the one that the show actually bestowed upon me ultimately. But of course, I didn't have that storyline until several seasons later. So, I still needed a storyline, whether or not we got to actually see it or learn about it or not. So that was it. I kind of did, you had to do your homework. There was the outside in process.
Got it. So you guys filmed it. The show comes out. It's a big hit that season in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what changes in your life? Do people recognize you?
Yeah, I mean that was weird because it's a little bit bittersweet. I guess there was so much promotion about some of those characters that people were just finding out. Like I first found out about you through an article on our site about actors in prosthetics. Yes.
So the word was getting out, and so everybody starts learning Naomi Grossman, and I guess it just snowballed.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I remember being first recognized on the street in LA and thinking, gee, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, on one hand, it's like all I've ever wanted. And then the other hand, I'm like, but I'm being recognized for being like the ugliest person on television. Like, do I even want to be recognized for looking like this person? Mm-hmm. Which, of course, I don't. I I mean, the other thing is too, like LA is kind of like New York. Like everyone's kind of jaded, and it's like, my Uber driver's more famous than you. So, you know, I was like, wow, when Angelinos are willing to put down their guard and say, hey, are you that girl? Like that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're not shy about it in Cleveland, but you know, LA is a different animal. Yeah. So I mean, on one hand, like everything had changed, and then on the other, everything was all the same. I mean, I had my, you know, my little day job teaching Spanish, and I would, you know, I conjugate verbs during the week, and then I jet off on the weekends to go sign autographs. I mean, there were like Pepper for President posters that were popping up on telephone poles. I mean, my IMDb was like on crack. Like, again, I wasn't mad at it, but it's like, gee whiz, all I had on that dumb thing was like, you know, shorts that I'd created myself. And yet, bam, I'm like number 1 on IMDb. Like, you know, right. I mean, once I finally bumped off Renee Zellweger, it's not easy, you know, when they change their faces like that. It's like I can barely compete, but I managed. Yeah, so I mean, it was just like, I don't know, it was such a kind of magical, crazy time. I would just, you know, I turn on my computer and bam, there's a picture of me tattooed on someone's, you know, inner thigh.
Wow. Really
unfortunate place to be tattooed. Poor little Pepper's getting a face of it.
And by the way,
yeah, I mean, it was
do you know if there's any plans for Pepper to make any more appearances on the show?
I better beg the fifth on that.
Okay.
This is live, isn't it?
No, this is like recorded.
Oh, it's
podcast,
it's not.
recorded.
So you could edit this part out.
Yeah, but I don't like to.
Oh, you don't like
it's
it?
Too much
it
work.
Doesn't matter. No, I can do this. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
But I couldn't answer it even if I did.
Maybe a spinoff. That would be sweet.
I mean, I see a whole like calendar. You know, I see like a talk show where basically like the guests come on and they are just sort of stuck with this interviewer that can't really, you know, speak in full sentences. I don't know.
Well,
believe
you
me,
know,
I've got all kinds of ideas.
Since you're accustomed to doing one-woman shows and making your own stuff, maybe you could do some kind of spinoff on your own.
Right.
That would
yeah.
be pretty
Well,
clever.
that's what's kind of ironic. I mean, if you've
theme.
seen my solo shows, like they're so wordy. Like they are, I swear, I pack like the maximum amount of words possible in an hour. And Pepper is, of course, the opposite. She's totally monosyllabic. And that's part of maybe what's so kind of refreshing about her. I can just stop talking for once.
Okay, so now since the show's such a big hit, and did you find yourself getting better auditions because of this?
Oh yes, definitely.
Ever since then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the time I'm not even having to audition. I'm just getting offers, which is awesome. But yeah, the auditions are better. The casting directors, actually look up from their cell phone. They, thank me for driving over the hill. For those who've seen La La Land, like I've totally been that girl. Like I have definitely delivered a monologue while they were, making a lunch order, and they don't do that anymore to me. It's really nice. Yeah.
What's been some stuff you've been in since then?
Well, I did an episode of Casual, the Hulu show that's going to be coming out actually July 31st, in just a week or so. I've done a ton of low-budget horror movies. I mean, the fact is, horror fans are incredibly loyal. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, I've got a ton of friends who are, successful in film and television, and they don't have my life. Like they don't, I mean, they got their gig and they're on to the next one, but it's not like one horror spins off into, I mean, that's how it's been for me. I think I've done 4 just in the last 2 months. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's one of those things where you never know. Like, if it doesn't have Tom Cruise in it, then we don't ever know if it'll be seen. I mean, and in some cases, you almost hope they aren't. But I mean, I did one actually New York based, only because I know you are, called Bite Me, which I'm really excited about. I was in New York for about a month last year shooting that. It's a vampire rom-com,
Wow.
which, yeah, I feel pretty confident that'll be seen. So yeah, among others. So I've been busy. I mean, I don't conjugate verbs anymore. At least not for money.
Got it. What would you like to be doing?
Well, I mean, I would like to be doing less ultra low budget and more big budget.
Okay.
Not just for my own, SAG insurance purposes, but I mean, I want to be doing work I'm proud of ultimately, and like I said, in this sort of low budget realm, you just don't necessarily know. Like, you read the script and you Google the writers and the team, but you don't necessarily always know. So yeah, I think I ultimately I'd like to be doing just work I'm really proud of. It's changing all the time. Like I mean, like I said, I always fancied myself a comedian. Like, I always thought I was going to be, I saw myself on SNL. Now I think that was I was underestimating myself. Now I think, wouldn't it be cool to do like a Handmaid's Tale or a Big Little Lies, or one of these shows where it's like real acting chops.
Is that saying those are your favorite shows?
Yeah.
What are your favorite shows?
I see myself. I love Orange Is the New Black. Of course, I feel like I am a total shoe-in for that.
Mm-hmm.
I got the haircut. Definitely. I've got the dramedy down. Yeah, I mean, I love horror story. I don't know. I think we're really living in a special television time. I mean, we're enjoying quite the renaissance, I think.
Yeah, it's
with some
great.
really, yeah. I mean, some of the best
The
work is happening
diversity.
on TV.
So much diversity. It used to be all kind of the same thing. Now it's
Yes.
all over the place.
Oh yeah,
It's very
and now
exciting.
when you do watch like a Cosby Show, or I mean, Cosby Show I suppose was groundbreaking in its own way at that time, but those old sitcoms, they seem so dated now, because they are. Yeah, it's really developed so much.
So you do other stuff too. You do voiceovers. Is that true?
Yes, I've got a new hotshot voiceover agent, and I spend an inordinate amount of time in the closet in West Hollywood. That's a little joke for people who don't know. I happen to live in WeHo, which is the very gay section of LA, and technically it's better not to be in the closet in WeHo. Of all places, if you can get out of the closet, it should be in WeHo, but at last that's where I spend
Now the
a
joke
lot
there,
of my time.
The joke there, for people that don't know, is practicing voiceover. A lot of times, voiceovers are recorded in a booth, and when you don't have a fancy recording studio with a booth, you use your closet,
Right.
and you practice there, and you record there.
Right.
What about commercials? You've been doing things like that
Yeah,
also?
I mean, I've been doing, commercials forever since, since Denver, Colorado days. I do less of that now. I think I do think sometimes, like, it's hard to do both. Like, if people start to recognize you as a theatrical actor, they don't want to cast you in commercials. Sometimes they want commercials to be just kind of like the every woman, which I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that I've worked a ton commercially lately or since, but that's okay. If I had to choose a path, I mean, I don't know, like, had I gotten that gig as Flo, who knows where my career would have gone? Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's, putting her kid through college, which I'm really relieved I don't have to do. But at the same time, like, I don't know, would I have been cast as Pepper? It's so hard to say.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. They keep you busy going out and doing signings for the show still?
Yeah. I mean, gosh.
Were you at Comic-Con recently?
I was not at San Diego this last weekend, but I have been, of course. I mean, in 2015, which was really kind of the height of the, Peppermania,
Mm-hmm.
I think I traveled to 44 Comic-Cons in 52 weeks. So it was just insane. Yeah. It's slowed down a little bit now, and I'm thankful for that because I need to be here. I need to be home and auditioning and booking work, because they're not doing that in Cleveland. Yeah, but hey,
So
again,
you go to
something
these-
I did not count on. I didn't even know those things existed
You go to
until
these
I was
things
at the
and
epicenter of them.
people have your face tattooed on their bodies, and I even saw a Pepper toy doll or two in my travels.
Yeah.
Doing my
Yes,
research. What other crazy places has your image been?
Oh, I mean, I have a whole Pepper room now. I mean, now I'm looking at it. I've got a Pepper mask. I've got, Pepper Funko Pop figure, one of those little plastic, toys. There's trading cards.
Wow.
I mean, I've got a whole room of art. It's amazing. I mean, I've never sat down and drawn a picture of my favorite, character or actor. But evidently people do, because I've got, 3 walls covered in them.
I've seen a lot of those tattoos.
Yeah.
It's big in the rock
there's
world.
A few. Crazy. I can't relate. I don't have tattoos. I can barely commit to an outfit in a day. I have to, there's invariably a costume change at some point in the night. Never mind, tattoos. That's just way too much commitment for me.
Okay, so we've covered Pepper. Back to the new thing, Ctrl-Alt-Delete. Where can people see that, by the way?
So that's on Facebook, actually. If you just enter in your little address bar, where you write, your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever you want to stalk. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, don't do that. Just type in Ctrl-Alt-Delete, CTRL, Alt-Delete, and it'll pop up. The whole season's right there. It's like the full thing is 22 minutes, so it's not a huge commitment. Speaking of which,
and how many episodes in that first season?
So there's 7 episodes. They're about 3 minutes each. They're all based on a different real life story. So the creators actually interviewed various women for the series, and each one is sort of dedicated to one woman. My character has yet to have her own episode. I'm kind of the chick who's just always in the clinic, who's got her own chair, and who, the other girl is probably typically sitting in. In fact, if people just follow me on social media, I intend to, post the full season, because lots of people are asking, of course. But also I have a little like highlight reel of just sort of, Naomi, or Lorna, I should say, all Lorna all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll be putting that out as well, if people want to cut to the chase and just see me. Although I encourage people to see the whole series because it's funny. It's I mean, I have high hopes for it. I would love to see it go on, and I'd love. Hey, if Orange is the New Black doesn't happen for me, I'd love this to, Netflix to pick this up and make this into a thing.
Sounds like it's got.
I mean, not
shot.
that it's not a thing unto itself. Oh my God, it's perfect. I mean,
if you've been
so timely,
nominated for an Emmy for your role, I would say it's on the radar of people.
For sure. And I mean, even if it doesn't, turn into something more that is like a series unto itself. I mean, it will have done wonderful things for me, so it's fine. It's a win-win.
But you got those horror films coming out too that you shot.
That's true. Yes. No, I mean, this has been kind of fun for me to get back to what I do and what my first love, comedy. Because it's always odd to me when people say, "Oh, I didn't know you were funny." It's like, well, gee whiz, like that's kind of. I didn't know I did horror, so go figure. I didn't know I would do drama or could even act. That I'm kidding, of course. I mean, I've been actually reprimanded by friends from acting class who have listened to interviews and me talk about how I'd never done drama before, American Horror Story, and they say, "What are you talking about? I was with you 4 years in acting class, and we did drama every day." So, it's not true. It's just, like I said, I hadn't been cast for it. And, those 16 years, 22 years, were starting to feel like a long time. So, you can't help me for doubting myself a little.
Got it. Anything else you want to talk about? I think we've covered everything today. Gosh,
I do too. I think we have. So, I would be negligent not to mention, my social medias.
Where can people
Naomi
find you?
W. Grossman. Yep, I'm at Naomi W. Grossman across all platforms. And I think that's it.
And which of those films are coming out soon?
Oh gosh.
If you know.
I almost need to pull up my IMDb to keep track of it all. Let's see. Bite Me is going to be, I believe, going to festivals, we hope, of course. And then, who knows? We'll see from there. I know Painkillers just went to Cannes. So that hopefully I imagine we'll be seeing here soon. I did another film called 1BR, which I know I'm going to do some reshoots for. So maybe don't look for that real soon.
1BR?
Yes, like one
mean?
bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did an accidental zombie named Ted just got distribution. So actually, yes, we'll be seeing that around October. I did a Lifetime movie called Chasing Lacey only last month. So that should take a few months before we see that.
What's that one about?
Oh gosh, it's going to be hard for me to say without spoiling. It's for Lifetime, so it's a real female story.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't rehearsed my pitch for that, which, like I said, when I if I were to tell you the truth, it would totally ruin it for you. So I better not.
Okay.
But it's a good role. It's I'm kind of a sleeper. You don't expect me, and then there I am. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like auditioning. You kind of like go in, you do your part, and you walk away, and you just have to forget about it, or else you make yourself crazy. So I've gotten very good at just, going in, doing my part, and forgetting about it. Now I couldn't even tell you when these things are, coming out.
Okay. Well, people can check out your IMDb page, imdb.com, and that'll list everything that you've been in. And then they can also check at naomigrossman.net to see what's new over there.
Indeed. Yes.
And I think that'll do it. Thank you very much, Naomi.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's all, folks. Surviving Show Business is sponsored by nycastings.com, the place where stars are born. Actors, models, dancers, and singers can join and get casting notices sent to your phone every day.